right, now we're going to jump into street class. So street class can be one of the most competitive classes overall at this event. Tons of people sign up for it. It's really going to bring out a lot of interesting cars, and we're definitely going to see as we go through the lineup of street class. All right, first up, we have Turner Dobbins. He's showing up with his 2020 Supra, making a whopping 670 brake horsepower. That's right, 670 horsepower in this Supra, going for gold. So as of right now, he has the best lap time of a 2:18, and he's hoping that he can get to a 2:15. This is a guy who has lots of experience. He's currently the NASA Texas TT director, so he knows how to time trial, and I hope he knows how to time attack, because it's going to be a battle to see if he can get to where everyone else is in street class. All right, now we got a fan favorite, Thomas Smith. He's coming to the town bringing his 2005 Subaru STI. He's been rocking this thing for, hell, as long as I can remember. He's got more experience than probably half the damn field. Not only, he probably has more experience with all of them combined. This guy's got 19 years experience. Hell, I remember him driving Tony the Tiger back in the day. He's got Subaru experience for days. He's pit crewing for himself. He's the driver. He's the everything on his team. He's going to be bringing the heat to everyone at that field. But you know what? His driving always does the talking. His mouth never does. He's always putting down the lap times. He's always putting in the work. You know this guy's going to bring it. He just came off of the finals win at Global Time Attack back in November. So he's definitely coming locked and loaded and ready to go. I'm pretty excited to see what this guy can do. So he did a 2-minute, 19-second lap back in 2022, and he's really hoping to get to the goal of a 2:17. He's pretty conservative about his lap times, so I think once he gets out there and once he starts competing with these guys, I'm hoping to see a 2:16 out of him. I think that's going to be right in the mix of the street class, and absolutely right street class all-wheel drive times. He's going to definitely be right where it needs to be. He's making around 550 horsepower. He's always smart with his tires. He's always smart with his setup. He's definitely somebody that you always have to watch out for. And, well, interestingly enough, he's one of the quietest guys out in the field. So keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on that Subaru. And let's hope that we can get this Subaru all through the weekend. So now we got Lelouch. He's coming to us, and he's going to bring in what else? A 2021 Toyota Supra. Now, I will say, in time attack terms, right now this car's only making around 400 wheel horsepower, which, as we talked about before with some of the other guys, the magic number is north of 550. So he's a little underpowered. Now, with that said, he's growing his experience level. He currently has a handful of SCCA track days and 2023 Super Lap Battle under his belt. So he's got a little bit of time. He did run a 240 at the last Super Lap Battle, but he's really hoping to knock down 15 seconds off that lap time and get to a 225. I think this is one of those cars that's in development. He's working with PhD Racing, and he's really getting his car sorted and getting it prepared for future endeavors. This is probably one of those guys you're going to want to watch and see how the development turns out over the course of next year and beyond. Now we're bringing to you another Toyota Supra. Big surprise here. So the Toyota Supra is definitely going to be one of the cars that you consistently see at any time attack event. They're just such a great car to bring. With that said, Isaac Torres is bringing his 2020 Toyota Supra with 600 wheel horsepower under its belt to this event. Now, he's never been to COTA before, but he is projecting a 220. To give some sort of idea, he did run a 152 at finals at last year, so that kind of gives you an idea of where he might stack up versus other Supras that have done this in the past. With that said, he has a turbo and some other things, so it'll be interesting to see his progression throughout the weekend. He's going to be one of those guys that kind of probably starts off at a higher lap time and is going to continue to chip away at the lap time throughout the weekend because he's going to be learning this track for the very first time. So keep an eye on him as he goes throughout the weekend. Hopefully he can manage his tires, bring enough tires, so we can really see how he progresses and is able to have tires at the very end to put in that final heater at the very last second. Now, with our first BMW entry, we have Mark Kilgore. He's pushing a good number, a 550 wheel horsepower out of this BMW. It's a BMW M4. Now, with that said, Mark doesn't have any lap times around COTA yet, so he's projecting he's going to do around a 228. With that said, Mark's going to have to really work and chip away at that pace, hoping to get exactly where he needs by the end. Now, with that said, he's got a lot of modifications to this car, and he's definitely going to be using his experience the last 8 years in time attack and various SCCA and grid life events into his advantage. It's a good amount of track time he's got under his belt, and I'm sure he understands how to use this car and get it prepared to go to battle in time attack land. All right, we have our second Subaru entry. Hopefully it'll be the second Subaru entry to be able to cross the finish line on the last day with Corey Crowder. He's again showing up with that magic number of just over 500 wheel horsepower at 520. So he's got a 2008-ish hatchback. So he's got that nice little hatchback that they don't make anymore that everyone wishes they still made, but whatever. Is what it is. So he's been tracking this car for about 5 years. He's expecting to look around 230. I'm really hoping he can kind of pick that up a bit, as street class is going to be quite a bit further up the road from that. But without his time ever being there, he's probably being a little conservative with his expectations. With that said, he built his twin skull custom setup. He's hoping that with that horsepower, he's able to not utilize any aero on his car. Where's the aero, man? And be able to slipstream down that back straightaway, maybe. All right, with our second BMW, we have Tim Turner showing up in his 2005 BMW M3. Now, apparently, at this time, he doesn't even know how much horsepower he's making. So, I don't even know what this guy's going to show up with. Maybe he'll show up with an LS all of a sudden. Who knows? But at the end of the day, this guy's got 3 years of time attack experience, HPD with grid life, and so on and so forth. He's basically showing up to COTA, never been there before, but he's hoping to go sub 240 on his very first go. Again, this is going to be one of those guys we're going to have to watch and see how he can progress throughout the weekend, see how he can manage his tires and various other consumables to see how he can improve his lap time throughout the weekend. Now, with that said, this is one of those situations where he's probably not going to have the most amount of power, is what I'm really going to assume. So it's going to be a situation where he's going to be playing a little bit of catch up in the back of the field at street class. But with that said, this is an awesome looking car, as you can see here. Gloriously good looking car. So I'm a big fan. If you show up with a livery, you already got my stamp of approval. So let's check out this car, see how it goes, and let's hope that he can bring home a better lap time than what he's thinking, which I think he can do. All right, so now probably the least modified car in street class, who's only there because of one simple rule, and that is you have to be the owner of the car to drive in enthusiast class. So Will Drees, he's going to be driving the Hyundai Elantra N that he's been driving, that he drove at finals in November. So this car actually threw down some impressive lap times at finals. So I'm not completely throwing this out there, but I will say it's only going to be making around 300 wheel horsepower. He doesn't even know, really. He's just stabbing in the dark because hasn't put it on a dyno or anything like that. But he's going to have a tune this time around, so he is going to have a number eventually. But for the most part, I mean, you're talking about a car that has like springs in a tune and some wider wheels. So not exactly a heavily modified car, but it's quick and Will's at the helm. So definitely something that he can set up, tune right, get rolling, and having a good time with. He is projecting to hopefully end up with just a top 5 in the front wheel drive in street class. Now, with that said, hard to say, right? The class is pretty stacked, a lot of guys in it. So we'll see what Will Drees and this Hyundai Elantra N can bring to the party. All right, so today we're going to be looking at Mike Soto. He's running with Team Early Apex Racing. And ding, 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 we get a little bit more diversity here in street class. We're looking at a Cadillac ATS-V. Very strange for street class in terms of you don't see these all too often at the track, not to mention see him in time attack. But he is bringing a legitimate weapon here with 645 horsepower. He is projecting, well, let's look at his current lap time. His current lap time is a 227, and he's hoping to better that with a 225. Now, with that said, To be in the top mix of street class, you're going to need to be sub 20, I believe. But I think he's going to be right there, and I think the competition is going to push him to push this car a little bit harder. Big thing that he has going for him is he's got 20 years of HPD experience, although this is his first year in Time Attack. That is a big jump, I will say, in a sense, because now you're talking about competition. You're not just essentially going around and turning some laps. So he's going to have to figure out ways to get that time moving in the right direction throughout the entirety of the weekend. It will be exciting to see that happen. He is running this car on a stock turbo with stock injectors, but he's running on E85, and he's got a rear wing to help that rear grip of that car as he goes through the S section of COTA. So we'll see what he can do. Really excited to see this Cadillac attack some time. All right, now we got Rigo Grajeda showing up in his Rigo built garage with his RBR crew, Toyota Supra. Again, another Toyota Supra, the best car in Time Attack, especially for street class. Showing up, right? He's got 560 wheel horsepower. He's never been to COTA, but for reference, he's run a 155 at Buttonwillow. He is projecting a 220, which, in my opinion, I think he's shooting for the moon here. I know these cars are fast, but never be in Dakota. And with the previous understanding of the lap time from Buttonwillow, I think he's going to really struggle to get there, but I'm hoping he does. It will be an interesting situation to watch him progress throughout the weekend. Basically, this car's got full bolt-ons, Öhlins, and a Stage 2 trans, and a bunch more. But we all know that the Supra doesn't need a lot to be really fast. Big question that always comes down to it is what kind of tires are you on, and do you bring enough to really make an impact? Now we have Ryan Matthews with Team After Dark Speed in his 2002 Corvette. This car is a street class car, making around 650 horsepower. And if you know anything about vets, they can absolutely turn some blisteringly fast lap times. He has run a 220 previously, and he's projecting a 218. With that said, he has a lot of experience in racing, endurance racing, time attack, autocross, all sorts of stuff. He's not a guy that's just showing up for the very first time. This is a guy that knows how to turn a wheel. He's got a Corvette to make the wheel turn and go and do the things. So he's going to be out there, and I think he's going to be a guy to watch. He might just upset this street class with a Corvette. All right, we got Kyle McHugh showing up from Team Neo Racing. He's showing up in his 2022 Toyota Supra. This car is going to be in street class. He's repping a lot of horsepower in this car, and the only reason why I know that is because he's got an EFR 9280 under the hood, which tells me he's definitely got some power in this bad boy. With that said, he previously ran a 2 minute 22 seconds, and he's targeting 215. 215. Again, that's getting closer and closer to Jackie Ding's record in street class. I hope that he can kind of put some more pressure on that. I think he's being a little conservative there, but I'm hoping he can push that and get closer to Jackie Ding's record. I think that'd be really awesome to watch. His motor is built by BMB, and he's got some 6R custom turbo kit, IDE 1300 injectors. He's got a built transmission, which is obviously going to be required based on the horsepower numbers we're expecting out of this EFR 9280. And more importantly, he also has an AP big brake kit, front and rear, because, well, you got to have brakes if you're going to have this power. And he's tuned by Wedge Performance. This car, pretty stout. This is going to be a guy that you need to watch, and you're going to be interested as he goes down that back straightaway to see what kind of mile per hour he's pulling on people as he goes down. All right, guys, we have the lowest horsepower Supra of all coming to you in street class, coming with Brad Wilson with Team Turn 1. And this Toyota Supra is only making 360 wheel horsepower. So he's definitely going to be at a deficit with others pushing 6, 7, 800 horsepower. It's insane. This guy's only bringing 360 to the game here, but he is targeting a 2 minute 35 second lap time. He's competed in time attack for Apex Driving, NASA TT, and lots of other track days, so he's got good experience. But he's also bringing some stuff from Varus Engineering, their diffuser, hood vents, some other things that's really going to help him mitigate the amount of drag this car is going to have. But he also has wing splitter and all those other good things. He's really only driving on RSR lowering springs, so this car is very much really an enthusiast class car, but because it is a Supra, it's in street class, so it's going to be interesting to see how he stacks up with the rest of the field. But I will say, this is very much bringing a knife to a gunfight in terms of horsepower. All right, now we got Anthony Pearson coming to us from Team Lap Sector. He's got a 2020 Supra. Again, Supra is time attack. He's making around 650 wheel horsepower in street class, and he's making that horsepower with a Borg Warner EFR turbo, upgraded fueling system. He's got coilovers. He's got singular end plates, 9 Lives Racing rear wing, custom front aero, splitter. Everything's looking good on the time attack front there. He's only had one competitive season, and that was last year. He did Super Lap Battle, and he also did finals this past year. He did a 2-minute, 25-second lap at COTA last year, and he's hoping to shave, at minimum, 5 seconds off that lap time. So we're going to see. That's going to put him right in the hunt there for street class. It seems like everybody's going for that sub 220 mark, and a lot of Supras. So it'll be fun to see how all these Supras stack up and really see what the horsepower delta between these Supras are and see how that really plays out in the lap times.